Seahawks fans, wherever you may be. Thanks for listening to the show. Join your hosts, Bill Alvstad and Keith Myers, as we talk Seahawks football. Hey, hi, Seahawks fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Seahawks Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Bill Alvstad, sitting down with co-host Keith Myers, here to talk Seahawks football. I've got a great show for you today, recapping the second preseason game against the Kansas City Chiefs. It was a blowout. It was amazing to watch. It was fun. But let's try to put this thing into context if we can. It's not the regular season. It's not the full-time starters. It's not a lot of things. But what are we seeing that's making us really happy and feel a little bit more confident heading into the season? Welcome in, Keith. How you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, it was a fun game to watch, and in part because it was a fun game to watch, because we saw what we wanted to see. Right? We went into the game thinking, okay, obviously the score doesn't matter. It's preseason and whatever, but we just wanted to see the offense operate. And that's what we saw. I mean, the running game was fabulous this entire game, top to bottom. They came out and ran the ball at will. It didn't matter which offensive line was in there, whether it was the first team, the second team, or the third team.
Right.
Or which running. Yeah. I mean, it did a little bit with running back, but we're talking about a guy at the back end of the roster who, before you find someone who struggled. But everyone else, yeah, I mean, that's the way a Kubiak running game is supposed to look. I mean, just straight up. And we haven't seen that. We haven't seen them dominate at the line of scrimmage in so long that it was just exciting to finally see.
Yeah, no, it's refreshing. There's no doubt. I mean, Seattle rushed for 271 yards. It looked like they could rush for 371 if they kept the first unit in. It just was one of those days. Three-headed monster, Charbonnet, Alani, Martinez, 33-16 victory, although you said that doesn't matter, but that's not the point. But the point was we dominated clearly on both sides of the ball. I think our possession was nearly 2-1. I think we had close to 40 minutes to 20 minutes type of a domination. The defensive side of the ball for the game, Seahawks yielded 146 yards of offense, under 4 yards per play, only 4 third down conversions for the entire game on only 9 opportunities. And again, we won the time of possession battle by more than 18 minutes. And those sorts of things. And the reason that I'm excited is that we never saw that in any game in 2024. We haven't really seen it for about 4 or 5 years. And even in preseason, and the reason that I'm excited is because I think a lot of it can be transferable into the regular season. And really what I'm talking about is it's all about the discipline I saw, the play calling, the execution of the offense, and the commitment to running the ball, and the physical dominant kind of fashion that we saw, getting chunk yards, avoiding negative plays. Those are all kind of pillars of the Klint Kubiak offense in the system. And we saw that executed almost to perfection against a decent team. Again, it's preseason and it could have been any team out there. It really doesn't matter. And that's why you got to temper it a little bit. But I saw enough to be excited about what this team could be in the regular season, only because we already know that the defense is going to be about top 5, right? And that's not a guarantee. That's just the way it's going to be. And if the offense is this competent in week 3 of a training camp and preseason, or week 2, game 2, in a new scheme where there's purpose and a vision, and like everything seems to fit together and work purposefully, there's a lot to be hopeful for. And I think what we're seeing out of our playmakers, Torrey Horton and the running game, we haven't even seen Ken Walker yet in this thing. We haven't really even seen Sam Darnold. I mean, he was perfect with 4 attempts. Otherwise, a point guard out there looked good and competent with what he did. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of opportunity here. We haven't even mentioned Arroyo and Cup and Njigba. This thing's could be a really good, smooth operating system by mid-season and be dangerous when you get into the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's it's great to talk about and whatever, but to me, it's more just they didn't get dominated at the line of scrimmage. When was the last time we saw a Seahawk offense not get dominated by the line of scrimmage? Like 2013? It's been way too long since that ever happened. And so um just to see them get up there and you see guys uh blockers down the field hitting people 4 or 5 yards deep, guys running backs getting past the line of scrimmage before encountering a defensive player. Like that, we don't see that. That's not a Seattle thing, but yet here it was. And God, it was pretty. So
And refreshing, just refreshing.
it really was. Yeah, I mean, that. It's crazy what coaching does. I mean, think about the offensive line a year ago, and just how not just the offensive line, but the entire offense, just how poor it was, and just how poorly designed the scheme and the plays and the play calling and everything was, and it was so inefficient and so just
It was the
God, it was just
players on the team with the skill sets that we did have, the talent that we did have, overcoming the scheme. It seemed to me that was after I watched this game, that's what came into my mind was, okay, last year at any point with preseason, regular season, whatever, there were a couple games where by sheer talent alone, we were able to execute some plays and score some points. But it in no way was married up to the scheme. It was like they were both independent, and the talent was independent of the scheme, and by just virtue of just guys being good, we ended up putting some things together and stringing some plays. But there was no identity, there was no purpose, there was no repeatability. It's like you didn't expect them to do that the next week. And we never really did. Like we'd put together one good strong running game. I think the Arizona game comes to mind. And then after that, we went completely away from it for like 3 or 4 straight weeks. It doesn't seem like that's going to be this situation at all.
No. It was a competently put together game plan, play calling, and then just like the actual coaching of the players and the little things and the details that you're seeing. Um, it's hard to describe, but when you go and you watch, um, if you can slow it down, watch the footwork of the players when they go and run outside zone, and it will look like it was choreographed because everyone's right foot um, moves the same distance and turns the same amount as their first step. And then you see them fire off with their left hand, and where they try and make contact with the opposing player. Uh, it's consistent across the line. Like those are the types of things that you see and you're like, wow, this team was coached to do those things. And those are the kind of details that matter. And that's how you end up with a game like this where you just absolutely dominate in the running game because it didn't matter which people the Seahawks threw out there. Um, they were uh, they were taught well, right? That the technique was great. Um, that's the kind of stuff that it just worked. And no, God, how long has it been? Pre Tom Cable, So now you're going back to pre-Pete Carroll.
Right.
Before you, since the last time you saw an offensive line actually
Competent.
work in concert the way that it's supposed to. It's crazy.
Okay. So that's a great way to open the show, but let's temper this thing just a little bit. So what happens to all that in concert stuff and all the feel good and everyone's doing everything in sync when defenses really start throwing wrenches at you and you have all pro level players at certain positions disrupting timing and gaps and so forth? Talk to me about what we should really expect, in the first 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, I think first 3 or 4 weeks, you're going to see some of that break down a little bit because of the fact that, you're putting all pros over there instead of, backups. Chris Jones didn't play. He would have made a big difference against the run had he played right in the middle of that defense. But I think it'll take some time. But it's still really encouraging that it's there and it's there this early. And even when you have an all pro, even if you've got Chris Jones in there, that shouldn't change what, the left guard does with his first step and his first hand move, right? His first punch. Like those things shouldn't change. It's what you do after that, how you adapt to um, what the defender does. Um, and so, like that, the coaching is there. That's something which is it's transferable from one game to another, from this playing against backups to playing against starters. That initial stuff. Now, whether they continue to be successful after that first step and first first contact, okay, well that's going to depend on talent and some other things, but they're still doing the right things, and that's going to set them up for more success. So we'll see. But you're right. Let's preseason just really. It's more about the individual performances and the team performance, and you can look at that and look for those kind of things. And but it's hard not to just come away from this just really, really optimistic. I mean, Gray Zabel was freaking dominant.
Yeah.
In every aspect.
And playing with Josh Jones, over there at left tackle, which, by the way, he looked amazing too. Gives me some hope that in this scheme, while he's been somewhat ineffective in his career up until this point, maybe this is just really well suited for him, and he's going to be a really competent swing tackle for this team. So at least better than we've had in the last many seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get back to something you just said too about, when I said tempering expectations, you kind of did that. I will say this though, even against all pro guys like Chris Jones, you've got a competent offensive coordinator in Klint Kubiak who can scheme around that, who can avoid him, who can make him irrelevant. Not all the time, but quite a bit of the time. And so my confidence in success is boosted even further by the fact that we've got a coach who understands the NFL, who's been around, who understands other teams and what other teams are trying to do against his scheme, and to counter those things, to make adjustments at halftime. Those sorts of things. We haven't even talked about that yet, those sorts of factors. And those are going to be, I think, positives in this offense that will factor in as time goes on. Let's talk about players. Let's stick with the offense since we've really just kind of hyped this up now. What really stood out to you? Obviously the run game, but talk to me, about specific things that you saw, and then talk to me about like Robbie Oots and Horton and just some of the other guys within this. Arroyo even stood out on a couple. You mentioned Gray Zabel. Just talk to me about some players that really popped for you.
It's interesting. The guys that you mentioned, they're all rookies. They're all draft picks. But yeah, I mean, Zabel was just dominant up front, like uh, just absolutely moving guys, and um, no, it didn't matter what they threw at him. He won, and so that, I mean, that's just freaking impressive. But then you look at the other guys you mentioned. Robbie Oots is so much fun. I don't
Yeah.
know if we'll see him that much during the regular season.
Oh, I think we will. I
But we're
mean,
seeing him a lot in the preseason,
he's
and
a smooth operator.
he gets in there. God, he does his job well. Um, he reads the blocks. He gets up. He hits the right person, and when he hits that person, they're out of the play. Um, and
Yeah, you mentioned
he's
you mentioned the physical, like everyday kind of Robbie Oud stuff, but man, when he peeled out there and caught that ball and in fluid motion and
mhm.
scampered for additional yards, he didn't look 275 pounds. That was a 275-pound dude.
Yeah,
Back like 20 years ago, offensive centers used to be 275 pounds in the league. He's 275 and he looks like he's about 245,
he does. He does
and
not look
it just
275.
moves really nicely. I mean, he's going
Yeah.
to be a fan favorite. Like, they're going to be cheering his name because when he scores his first touchdown in the NFL, I mean, there's going to be chants for him. Like, it's going to be unreal. He's going to be one of those folk hero type players, I think.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, he's just fun. He's because he's so there's no like this isn't like a guy that's expecting the ball or you know there's none of that. He just wants to go out there and hit people, and looks like he's just having a freaking blast doing it, just going up and hitting people. And
Yeah.
it's like a defensive player's mindset, but you know, from a fullback. And he's just fun. He just what's got me so far through the two preseason games has been you watch what he does via the blocking, because a lot of times when they're running, outside zone or even some of the inside zone, right? There's reads that have to be made by the running back, and in order, it's not pre-called or hey, you're going to hit this gap. Um, you have to read. Okay, what is the guard doing, and which way is the guard's shoulders turned, and that's going to determine where you're going to go, and it's that kind of stuff. And Oots doesn't have the ball, but he's making those reads correctly and really just like leading the way. The running back, is trying making those reads too. But if they're just following their fullback, they're going to end up in the right spot because he's making the right reads.
And that again points to competent coaching. Like,
It really does.
especially, I mean, we're only in week 3 of training camp, in the second
Hmm.
preseason game, and we're seeing things that I have not seen from a Seahawks team since Mike Holmgren's era, because Pete Carroll just didn't pay that much attention to the offense. And then we had some offensive coordinators that were good. There were certain coordinators that were pretty good, but it just didn't seem like everything came together because of the coaching. It wasn't this competent. I mean, I'm really impressed with the coaching. I can't even, we could sit here and talk about it, I think, for another 30 minutes. Just the John Benton
Yeah.
and some of the other guys are really technical masters at their craft and what they do. And they expect their players to be technical masters, and nothing short of that is going to be sufficient. And it shows up on like games like this.
Yeah, I mean, it really does, and that is fun to see because you're right. Like Pete Carroll didn't really seem to care about the offensive line, and he put Tom Cable in charge of it for way too long, and we Cable was freaking incompetent. And once Cable left, that it got better, but never fully right. And it's taken like this is the first time we've seen competent offensive line play just across the board in terms of like where guys are working together since the Mike Holmgren era. And that's weird to think that it's been that long and there's been a Super Bowl win in between those points. But
I mean, those first, the offensive line we had in 2011, 2012, 2013, those were pretty decent offensive lines.
they were.
But
There was a lot of talent.
Yeah, but some of that was inherited and holdover stuff.
There was a lot of talent on those offensive lines that, so yeah, they were good, but they didn't work together the way that an offensive line can. They just were really talented guys like, Russell Okung and company. There was a lot of talent on that offensive line at first, and then that fell apart. And once that fell apart, the guys couldn't individually make up for the lack of cohesiveness as a unit. Now you're seeing that cohesiveness just kind of forced upon them through the coaching, and it's beautiful.
So talk about some players that beyond Zabel that you saw that really kind of stood out for you.
I mean, as far as what stood out to me, I want to say like George Holani, and Zach Charbonnet, were the 1 and 2 at the running back position in this game. Both just, it was chunk plays after chunk play. Yeah. Every time they got the ball, it was like they were getting downfield. Like Charbonnet's longest run was only 15 yards, but yet he still averaged 9 yards per carry. Right? So that means all of his carries were he was getting big yards on him. Holani also he had his longest was 30 yards. It was a great run. But even when he had a couple of runs that get called back and but it looked really nice. Like he just was able to hit the hole and looked fast through it. And there's just a lot to like within the running game from the running back spots too. I need to say something about Drew Lock in this, because 10 of 12, 129 yards in his less than a half of a game. Averaged 10.8 yards per throw. Had that big scramble run where it looked like he was going to try and get to the end zone because he didn't have an angle, so he tried to cut back, which was kind of funny because he's not a running back, and it looked like he's not a running back. But it
did for the first 15 yards. I mean, he really did kind of get out there and
oh yeah, he got out there
through
that
line, but later on,
he didn't have. I mean, he's a straight line runner. We're seeing that. But he's a quarterback, so who cares? But just he was out there dealing. I mean, they didn't ask him to throw much. 12 passes in a half, right? But yet he was really efficient with that. And those 2 touchdowns were fun to Bobo.
Yeah,
love to see Bobo getting, making an impact, and just there's so much just joy watching the guys play. And I don't know. It's just it's a lot of fun because it's like when Locke got tackled, and he tried to cut back and he shouldn't have. He should have just slid, but whatever. He gets tackled, and anytime a quarterback gets tackled at all, there's a little bit of you wondering, did he get hurt? And he just hops up, full smiles, and is laughing with the guy that tackled him. Like he's enjoying playing football, and I freaking love that. It's great to see. It really is. You mentioned some of the other rookies. I mean, Torrey Horton continues to just do everything you could ever want from him, which is God. It's hard to think that he is just a rookie. I mean, he only had 1 reception in this, but it was such a smooth route, and just everything looked like exactly where it should be. He's so good at getting open that it's, I don't know, it's just fun. Yeah, it's outside of the running game, it's hard to like pick up guys because everything's just spread out so much over so many players.
Yeah.
Tariq
Well,
Young had a nice game.
oh yeah. I was going to
3
say Tariq
receptions,
Young had a
52
really
yards.
good game.
Plus he returned kicks, was out there as a gunner for some punt coverage. Was not out there for as the gunner on punt coverage on the really poor punt coverage, but it happens. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was just it was such a good game as within the offense, just as a whole. It's hard to focus down on individual players and what they did because it was such a unit accomplishment.
Yeah. I thought Anthony Bradford looked really good. I thought Jalen Sundell looked good. Josh Jones, I already mentioned. Elijah Arroyo had a nice catch. Saubert had some excellent blocks.
Mm-hmm.
Really just spring players. Freddie Russell played well on special teams. Jake Bobo. I didn't see Scantling. I didn't notice him, which is not great news for him. Cooper Kupp was out there for a series. Didn't really notice too much there. Njigba same. I thought Damien Martinez ran better than he did in the first game, which was nice to see. A little bit more decisive, a little bit more of a fight to him. Although he gained 50 yards on 11 carries at a 4.5 average. That's decent, but that was the low average on all the other running backs as well. Other than Tyus averaged 2.2 yards. So I really was encouraged to see him out there. I'm not sure if he makes this roster. I don't think he makes it over Helani the way Helani's playing right now, for sure. But definitely a practice squad guy you want to keep around and develop, and we'll see if another team picks him up. I'm not sure. Jerkadia Wright, again, I like his physical style. I think that limitations were shown on him just a little bit as far as just agility. I think he's going to be a straight line guy and a guy that can pick up, some yards for you on short downs. But and he was out there with third team blocking and so forth. So things really did break down in the fourth quarter for this team. He did
rush for 5.3 yards per carry.
Yeah. The nice thing is, Keith, everything on the runs is falling forward, gaining yards. There were no negative plays in this game that I can recall. Everything was positive. Everything was moving forward. The piles were moving. Like when running backs did get kind of stuffed, the whole movement of the offensive line was moving forward, not getting beat and pushed back. And so that was really encouraging too.
Yeah. I mean, you look at statistically, Anthony Tyus, 11 carries for 24 yards, 2.2 yard per carry average. That points to where things broke down in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when he got his carries was late third in the fourth quarter, and suddenly the running game stopped working and things kind of fell apart. So that's that's kind of the one point where things kind of stopped working. But yeah, like Jerkadia Wright, it looked like he was still figuring things out and more of a straight line runner and those kind of things. And then you go, wait, but he still averaged 5.3 yards per carry.
Yeah,
that 5.3 yards as an average is good.
Yeah. So the player I wanted to kind of finish the offensive side of the ball on is Tariq Young. And the reason for that is he's definitely a roster bubble guy. Like if you were going to carry 5 wide receivers, he would be off the roster because you would carry Jake Bobo, right? Unless Scantling somehow doesn't make this roster, which is still possible. But it's these type of performances that really endear him to to the coaching staff. His ability to be a big receiver with a lot of speed to stretch the field, but also play physical in the run game and make blocks on the outside and so forth. He's that guy. And he also plays special teams and does that really well. I think he's on this roster. And so
it's going to be hard to keep him off the roster at this point.
It's the first time. So this is like the 2 games in a row where I've really seen him be a receiver for this team. Even in preseason, the last couple of years, he's just kind of been non-existent. And he's really starting to show up. And another reason why I really like this scheme is because I think that Klint Kubiak really values players like Tariq Young and his skill set. You can see that with Bobo. You can see it with Tariq Young. And you can see it with the tight end group. And I think that that's why he's on this roster. And it'll be very interesting to me to see if he is allowed to have any reps on game day because of the depth we have at tight end and wide receiver. And we're going to be doing a lot of 2 tight end sets and 2 wide receivers out there running essentially 2 routes. And so he may not get reps after the season starts, but I think the Seahawks would benefit from him in certain situations, like having him and Jake Bobo be options in red zone opportunities. I think is going to be big for this team.
Yeah, they're both big body guys. Young's got more speed, but I mean, yeah, you need some of that. And while it feels weird, like why would you take Cup or JSN off the field? Because they're both so good at what they do. But at some point, yeah, you need some bigger bodies down in the red zone. Just one of them is going to end up being on the field, and so then it becomes down to who wins those battles and who gets those reps. And right now, it looks like it's going to be Jake Bobo, but that doesn't mean Tariq Young isn't fighting for that. I agree. I think that he has fought his way onto the roster because just the way he plays and how physical he is, and the blocking that he does down the field in the run game, and then the special teams contributions. He looks like a guy that's going to make the roster. But then how do you fit a 6th wide receiver on there? Who do you take off? Brady Russell?
Christian Haynes.
Ooh. Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong. To make me believe Christian Haynes has a spot on this roster based on what you're seeing.
It's hard to. I don't know if if the team wants to give up on him quite yet.
There's a way Tariq Young and Christian Haynes both make this roster, and it would put the offensive head count at 27, and the defense would have to be at 24, 23. There is a way that happens, but you're going to end up cutting like Patrick O'Connell and Quentin Bahana in order for that to get down to 23.
And I don't like the idea of cutting Quentin Bahana, if I'm being honest.
I don't know.
If we switch gears to the defense, Bahana and Peely both. I mean, they're supposed to be nose tackles, right? They play the same position, but there were a lot of plays where they were out there together, and they both looked good. Peely's he's supposed to be a really giant guy that's impossible to move in the middle of the defense, and then you see him cut underneath the center in that A gap and get to the running back for a safety, and you're like, guys that big aren't supposed to move that well. Like, that was just an incredible play, but it's not just that one play. Like, you go watch the rest of it. Those 2 guys dominated in the middle in a way that we didn't expect them to. A couple of
that play,
guys, and they
Peely getting that safety was an outstanding play, really. I thought maybe the running back got back to the line of scrimmage early in that play, but boy, he shut that down.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun play to watch. And that was right after the Seahawks didn't successfully convert on fourth down at the, right there at the goal line. And then the defense comes back and gets the points anyway. It's like, come on.
Yep.
That's good stuff right there.
Could have kicked the field goal, chose not to, and then the defense gets them 2 out of the 3 points on the next play. So, okay.
Yeah. And Julian Love on the fourth down stop when they're, Kansas City's going for it. I mean, it's plays like that show up that translate into the regular season, because that's just who Julian Love is. And that's what I think the defense really is prideful. And, at that point in the game, he's one of a few starters that are still out there. And you just saw the joy, like, especially when Bobo was catching things and Robbie Oots had that outstanding scamper after catch. You saw guys like Devon Witherspoon and Tariq Woolen out on the field, like just stomping up and down, cheering those guys on. This really feels like a special team to me, as far as how the offense and the defense is really coming together, especially like the third week of training camp. You're just really kind of not particularly liking the other side of the ball very much because you're going against them day after day in practice. But the camaraderie I'm seeing is something else, really.
Yeah, I love watching the excitement of the guys that they don't even have their pads on, and yet they're just jumping up and down, and they're the broadcast made a big deal about the culture of the team, and that sure, it's competitive offense versus defense, but it's also not. They're still teammates, and you see Devon Witherspoon like just running up and down the sidelines excited because Jake Bobo just made a play. And God, it's freaking fun. It's just fun. There's so much.
So one of the guys that I wanted to talk about that really nobody's talking about, and nobody really even knows like this guy, and that would be Seth Coleman. So we had talked quite a bit last show about, man, we need kind of somebody to emerge as an outside linebacker on this team, an edge rusher that would kind of emerge as the fourth option, apart from Lawrence, Mafe, and Hall, to really take over for Nwoso until he comes back. And you kind of pencil in Tariq Smith, Connor O'Toole's had some moments, but Seth Coleman continues to show up in games. So, last week, I believe he had a sack. This week he had a 1.5 sacks, and a couple, 2-3 tackles. And yes, he's playing third team kind of stuff, right? But nonetheless, he's still popping and other guys aren't. And so maybe it's a name that we need to start watching in the next couple weeks to see if he can somehow cling on to a roster spot. I think certainly he's earning himself a practice squad opportunity to be able to continue to work hard and eventually maybe get called up for a games this year. What are your thoughts?
I think they're going to keep 4 edge players on the roster, and there's a battle for that 4th spot. And right now, I mean, you have to consider that he's winning it because who else, right? O'Toole just has not shown up and popped. Jamie Sheriff hasn't shown up and popped. So, to me, yeah, he's got that 4th spot. I think that they're going to keep 4, and because I don't think you ever run with 3 edge players. And so at this point, I mean, who else? Who else has that? Who else is going to get that job?
Well, so Jamie Sheriff had that other half sack along with Coleman and a couple stops.
Yeah, but I think he makes it as the 4th inside linebacker.
I don't. I actually think that they really like Patrick O'Connell. Really? I think if Jimmy Sheriff is going to make the team, it's going to be as that 4th edge guy, and he's eventually going to get pushed off when Nwoso comes back. But that's just me.
I don't know.
That's just me.
God, I've been unimpressed with Patrick O'Connell. these first two preseason games.
I know, but the team really likes him. I mean, if you listen to some quotes by Kandata and
I know.
And some other guys, they really believe. I mean, and you listen to like what Macdonald's saying about special teams and a guy that comes to work every day, and really, he's the guy that they're talking about. And so, especially with Tyrese Knight out, and I think that I'm at least paying attention to that aspect of it, because I just haven't seen O'Connell. I haven't seen it with my own eyes, like in practice and stuff. So I can't say that he's not impressing me. I haven't really been paying attention to him, to be completely honest. And again, in this game, it's not like I'm watching this guy play exclusively. So I'd have to go back and look at the tape. But I think that, everyone else is saying all the right things about him, though.
Yeah. I mean, okay. I just watch him play in these games, and I'm like, him and Drake Thomas, is it?
Mm-hmm.
The lack of depth at middle linebacker is glaring. Tyrese Knight needs to get healthy and stay healthy, because it's.
I agree with that. Now, just talent-wise, I agree with that. But, when you hear Mike Macdonald talk, the only thing that makes me feel a little bit better is he talks about executing and just really being in the right spots and making plays. Drake Thomas and O'Connell are in that conversation. It's not like they have this dynamic. They're not starters for a reason. It's not like they have this dynamic agility and they're going out and just showing up to the point where they're displacing a Knight, even with injury. But I think they're competent enough, especially if you add Emanwari to this equation, which I think you have to, and the idea that he's going to get fourth team weak side linebacker snaps anyway. So I really think you're talking about really a back end of the roster guy, probably a guy that's maybe not even suiting up on the 53 on game days, and unless they're really a special team dominant guy, which neither of those guys I'm not sure. But
yeah.
Let's talk about. I want to talk about Leonard Williams just for a second. He didn't play in this game, but they interviewed him, and one of the questions that he answered, and I'm really excited to see him play, because I think it really even enhances this defense even more. But one of the things he was asked by Cliff Averill, who was on the sideline interviewing, which I thought was fantastic, and he did a great job. Williams was asked about what new player or what rookie is really standing out to you that is going to make a difference in this season. He kind of quickly answered Emanwari. Nick Emanwari.
Yeah. I love that.
And that's exciting to hear that from that player, because he understands how this thing is supposed to all come together. And I think that, he was speaking to the dynamic factor that this player is going to have on this defense. And it's not even showing up yet in preseason, because it's just, it's hard to, have guys pop when you have limited snaps and you're not showing your hand as far as the scheme is concerned. But yeah, talk to me about that. Like, how do you feel about this defense as a whole coming together? And they really haven't even shown anything yet.
I love the fact that Leonard Williams what one young guy, and he's talking about a safety. I mean, this is a defensive lineman. I was expecting him to say Peely or Buhana, one of the guys in his position group that he's
Jared
excited
Ivey.
about.
Right.
Or Jared Ivey would have been great too. But no, he went all the way back to safety, and was like, wow, and Amari, like, you see him flying around and the stuff he does, and like that excites me, because he doesn't always see an Amari. In the position group, in the one-on-ones, and even in like the 7-on-7s, you don't see he's not practicing against him.
And his backs to him.
Yeah. And yet Amari's still making enough plays and doing enough wow things that he's caught a guy like Leonard Williams' attention. And that'll go to show you just like kind of what to expect from Amari. Like, he's starting to really feel like he's going to be a special player.
Yeah. I really liked what I'm seeing from Kobe Bryant, just the confidence, and Julian Love, obviously, both those players in the limited amount of snaps I saw just look like they're so confident right now. And in this second year of Macdonald's scheme, and just, it's good to see Ernest Jones back out there, and Boye and Mafe. And it was fun to see that group play together. I really didn't take notice of anything that Mike Morris and Jared Ivey were doing on the defensive line, or Byron Murphy. It's funny because, Kansas City only had 18 minutes of offense, 146 yards. And the defense just wasn't out there very much in this game. And so it was really kind of hard to pick anybody out of the lineup other than the standout plays we already talked about. But I am truly excited about how this team is coming together, and the defense is just such a huge part of the identity and what they're going to be able to do. I just don't want like another preseason game. Like after it's done, I'll enjoy it. And the practices this week against Green Bay Packers will be fascinating to watch, and there'll be some storylines there, but I almost want to just have it shut down.
Well,
get out of this preseason, right?
I want all of the starters completely shut down. I agree. I want only the guys that are fighting for a job. And the guys that are fighting to keep their job. Like, those are the guys that need to be out there, and they need to be out there the entire freaking game.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Jalen Milroe should get the start in this game, and have Drew Lock come off the bench just for a flip, just for something fun and unique and interesting. Just see what he does with, like, really, second team guys, and if he can really truly move an offense, and if he becomes a little bit more dynamic with some playmakers out there. That would be interesting for me.
Yeah, I would say if you're going to do that, let him play the whole game, and you just have Lock available, and just in case. But you let Milroe go out there and just be the guy for a game,
and have Martinez and Holani and Jacardi Wright just run the ball and let our second. Okay, so I did want to ask you about the offense stuff though, really quick. Before we get out of here, the offensive line competition. We've heard about it with Sundell and Oluwatimi. Oluwatimi's still hurt. I don't know what his timeline is on getting back, which is just really unfortunate for him to have a back issue keep you out for like almost 2 weeks now. And Sundell has essentially just run away with that job. Yeah. But talk to me about what you're seeing at right guard. It seems like that's settled now as well. It wouldn't surprise me if Mike Macdonald's going to get asked this question in today's press conference or Monday. How is that going to wash out?
Well, it does look like Sundell is going to just have that job. It's unfortunate for Oluwatimi because he had the lead in that competition before his back injury. I know he tried to come back. I think it was on Saturday, and got out there, played a little bit, his back tightened up. He got pulled, he was only out there for a few minutes and then hasn't been back since. And so, yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for him, but Sundell's looked good. He's doing the job. He's done it well. And so I think he's won that. And yeah, a right guard seems to have, fallen together too. And you're right. They're going to have to make that call whether they want to say it or not, but because two of the guys that got eliminated from those jobs did so by getting hurt, right? Christian Haynes hurt his shoulder, Oluwatimi hurt his back, and so their guys that were competing with just kind of won the jobs by default. And that's not necessarily how you want a competition to shake out. So they might give it another week, give it this week and the third preseason game, knowing that they've got 2 weeks of practice before the first game, and see if either of those guys can make a statement. I don't think they're going to. And so I think we're set. I think Sundell's your starting center, and I think Anthony Bradford's your starting right guard, for better or for worse.
So a couple things. I want to talk about Christian Haynes, and I want to see how vulnerable he is. And then I want to talk about Satoa Lomea, because he started the last 6 games last year, and he didn't seem like he was ever involved in the competition this year. And your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was a little surprised that he never played himself into a competition, or was he started out there and then played himself out of the competition? Either way, I mean, he did start 6 games. He didn't look great starting 6 games, but he was a project. He was not expected to be good last year. And so the fact that he got 6 games under his belt, the fact that he beat Christian Haynes out for those starts for those 6 games, I thought was going to be meaningful, but then he just kind of fell off. I don't know why we're not seeing more of him. What the deal is there. I think that's, something to ask the coaches, because he looks like a guy who should be in that competition. But I know you're talking about his roster spot maybe being up for grabs.
Not
Bryce
Lumea,
Cable
but Haynes.
Yeah. But Bryce Cable went down for an injury. If the team
He was back out there though.
I know, but he's still going to be banged up, and so it's one of those things that you kind of watch, and you're like, okay, they'll probably meter him this next week, and so
or put him on injury reserve and just save him till next year, so he doesn't get picked off.
I don't think they're going to do that. He was waited so long to get drafted. I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, we got to go get him. There's going to be other players available. Like maybe Lumea. If you were another team. I
think Lumea makes this roster. I'm worried about Haynes.
You think Lumea makes the roster over Haynes?
I do. They've exhausted every opportunity at every position that Haynes could possibly play, and he's failed to displace or even remotely be in a legitimate competition for any spot. And that's 2 years in a row. In 2 different schemes, 2 different coaching staffs. And this coaching staff I trust immensely more than the last one. And you have the same result. Something's not quite right there.
Yeah, something is weird. I don't know what it is. Because his college tape suggests a guy that should definitely make it in this league and be a starter.
There's only one thing I think you could point to, and that's just the mental aspect of this game. And some guys get paid. I mean, he did get a contract. He did get paid, and sometimes that affects you. It's like you've reached your goal. You've attained your goal. That was your goal, at least inside what you maybe didn't admit to anybody else. But some guys just, that's it. I've made a roster. I got paid. I'm good. I don't really like working, as hard as it takes to be on an NFL starting caliber roster, and I'm satisfied. And sometimes that shows up on the field. And what else can you point to other than he's so banged up all the time, nicks, cuts, scrapes, bruises, pulled whatever, that he can't perform at the highest level consistently. And we haven't heard that. So for me, it's more of a mental thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. But you're right. Sometimes people, like, getting to the NFL has been their goal. So they've put all the work that they have in, in high school and college and all the time in the weight room and everything, with the goal of getting to the NFL. And they get to the NFL and they're like, I got drafted. I'm in the NFL. They feel like they've made it, and they take their foot off the gas. And maybe that's what's happened here. I have no idea. I don't want to assume bad things about the guy, so I'm not going to. But yeah, I mean, it is concerning that he just hasn't been able to win one of these jobs.
Yeah. Let's leave it at that. Yeah. So now we can expect on the offensive line. I think we can expect Charles Cross at left tackle, Abe Lucas at right tackle. You've got Josh Jones is I think the clear swing tackle on this team, a backup. And then Gerald, I think, makes the team as well, just as a fourth tackle. And then Lumen and Bradford round out, along with Sundell and Oluwatimi on the roster. And Haynes, for me, is that bubble player where if you need a roster spot for Tariq Young, that's the guy. I think Brady Russell makes the roster based on what the coaches are saying as far as special teams. Eric Saubert's going to be there as well. Valdez-Scantling could be a guy that's on the bubble. And then you've got to look at the defense. Bahama and O'Connell.
Like, where was Scantling in this game? Like, it's not like Cup and JSN who are out there for a series and then we're going to get pulled. And it didn't matter that Cup never got a target because he was only out there for like 5 plays, 4 passes. Right. That's how it worked out. But Scantling's not entrenched as a starter. Like, he should be out there playing. He should be making plays with Locke and stuff in the second team. And, where is he? What is he?
Does he have a reception this year?
No. In 2 games, no.
Have you called his name or even seen him?
I saw him standing on the sideline once.
See, that's concerning to me. That would be concerning. If I was Scantling, I'd just be like, I got in here thinking that I had that third spot secured, and all of a sudden I'm in third week of training camp, and I'm probably going to get cut.
Yeah,
that's what I would be thinking.
Torrey Horton is clearly past him on the depth chart. Although Horton did roll an ankle and not return.
Coach said he could have come back in.
Okay, he said he had kind of a minor ankle injury. We'll see. It won't keep him out.
They're going to shut Horton down. He's not going to play in this third game.
Probably not. They're going to let him make sure he gets healed up and ready to go. And if they do that, that just shows you that they're treating him like a starter at this point because he's the third receiver. And Scantling needs to be scared.
I saw the quote from Macdonald on Torrey Horton, and Macdonald said he made the call that Horton wasn't going back in the game. Like, he could have gone back in the game, and Macdonald shut him down. So that tells me a lot right there.
Yeah. He's like, no, we need this kid healthy for the regular season. Like, he's gonna be a big part of the offense. But again, where's Valdez-Scantling? And
I mean, you had guys like Jake Bobo and Tariq Young showing up.
Yeah.
Ricky White, Cody White, all made plays. Tyrone Broden was out there quite a bit. I will say this about Broden, unfortunately, on the big kick return run back, he was the guy that
got himself out of position.
Got himself out of position and was not close enough to the sideline. And he was the outside contain guy on that return, and the returner went outside of him, and he had like 6 or 7 yards outside of him between him and the sideline, and that's too much. You got to be right on the sideline there to contain that. So
yeah, he had some great plays early in camp. I haven't heard his name for the last week, and then didn't have a reception. Had 1 target, but didn't have a reception. And then you see him make a special teams mistake like that on that punt return.
I did like the way that the one play was the end zone target on a fade from Milroe that he didn't catch, but I really liked the way that he got off the line of scrimmage and got himself in position to make a play. Milroe just didn't quite get him the ball, and he didn't quite react quick enough to make a real good play on the ball. And so, but I did like his route there.
Yeah. But he's a guy that I think makes it to the practice squad. I'm just saying the early momentum that he had right at the very beginning of camp and stuff, when he looked like he might challenge for a roster spot, because he was just every day he was catching some big pass from Milroe.
Right.
And that seems to have waned. And now you have a competition that's kind of developed in front of him. And so I think he's a practice squad guy, but which is good for him. Like, he was an undrafted guy. So, getting him him earning a practice squad job is good. But yeah, we should I do want to kind of mention a little bit the kick return that went like right up the middle on them, and then the punt return, Sky Moore's touchdown. That needs cleaned up. Harbaugh's got some work to do because,
and it was those issues were present last year as well.
Yeah, they were. It's really disappointing to see that happen. Now, Myers had a great tackle on that kick return. Just throwing that out there, that anytime you see a kicker have to make a play on the ball, and he freaking does, because he's outweighed by 50 pounds and is by far less athletic than any of the other guys that are running at him. But he still held his ground, set his feet, made a play. Yep. Which there's speaking as a Myers, I'll tell you, the Myers clan, we make the difficult things look easy and the easy things look difficult. And that was a difficult thing that he made look easy. So
that's funny. Okay, so here we go. We're into the third week. It's going to be an interesting week. There's a walkthrough, I think, on Monday, and then they travel to Green Bay and practice with the Packers for a couple days prior to their third preseason game. That'll be just interesting. I think I would be hesitant if I was Coach Macdonald after seeing what I just saw to play anybody really in this game. So we'll see how the practices go, who he limits and so forth to exposure against, even in practice. I think that he's seen at this point, last year, I don't think he saw what he needed to see up through 3 games. And, you kind of saw that into the season. I think he's already seen everything he needs to see in this preseason. And I think I have too. I'm ready. I could really go out next week and play a regular season game, I think, and feel confident that the team would be at least as successful as anybody that they would match up against.
I
saw
at the top, I would agree with that. I think this third preseason game is not about getting the team ready for week 1. It's about figuring out who the hell is going to make the bottom end of this roster.
Right. And I think so they already know that by large account.
I don't know. Get an opportunity for guys like O'Toole to compete with Coleman and see if he can make a statement.
Yes.
Things like that. You get a guy, maybe this is the game where they tell Valdez-Scantling to go earn your roster spot, because right now Tariq Young has taken it from you, and then see what he does, and maybe he comes out and has a big game and really makes them reconsider. Those are the kinds of things that need to happen. I don't think that
I think Christian Haynes needs to have a game.
Christian Haynes needs to have a game. He played pretty well in the first preseason game, but then promptly hurt his shoulder and has not been out there since. And so
Christian Haynes didn't have any snaps in this game?
I don't believe he did.
I don't have the snap counts.
Because he hasn't practiced. I just assumed he wasn't out there, and I didn't remember seeing him at any point.
I did see him on the sidelines. He had his helmet, but okay. Yeah, I agree. I mean, third game, you're talking about fringy guys, 3 or 4 guys on the roster that are, definitely bubble guys like Patrick O'Connell, Drake Thomas and Patrick O'Connell, I think are those guys. They're going to start in this game and play a lot. But guys like Josh Ross, special teams guy, the new guy they picked up, Alfonso, Tupa to Lula, that linebacker, may have a run in this game just to kind of see if they want him to be on the practice squad or not. Interesting bubble competitions. Maybe that'll be our show and our focus here this week.
It should be, because that's what the third preseason game's for. This week is interesting because it's kind of like the Senior Bowl, right? Where the practices during the week are what matters and the game doesn't. Because the practice during the week is what you're going to see. That's where the starters are going to get ready for week one and are going, because now they're playing against a defense that doesn't know what they're doing, and they don't know what the defense is doing, and so it's much more important. And then you get to the game at the end of the week, and nobody's going to be playing. Like, none of the starters are going to be out there, so it's going to be a lot of guys that are trying to fight for a spot on the team.
So we'll have to come back quickly after that game and talk about what we saw, but also do a final prediction show on how this roster is going to shape up. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get out of here. Great show, great game. Enjoy it. Don't spend too much time on it though, because, preseason. You can find Keith at Myers NFL. You can find me at NW Seahawk, the show Seahawks Playbook podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platforms, from Spotify to Amazon to everything else, and our own YouTube channel, and leave a comment, like it, share it, all that good stuff. So until next time, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Seahawks Playbook podcast listeners, thanks for joining us for another edition of the show. You can find us on Twitter. Bill is at NW Seahawk, Keith is at Myers NFL, and the show is at Hawks Playbook. You can listen and subscribe to the show at SeahawksPlaybook.com.